John and June. There's just a chemistry and a rhythm and an understanding and a way between them that, you know, it's, they not only make music together, but they've lived their lives together and shared everything together. And it's a sight to behold, it truly is.
If I were a carpenter and you were a lady, would you marry me anyway? Would you have my baby? You are a carpenter and I were a lady, I'd marry you anyway. I'd have your baby. If I were a miller and a mill wheel grinder, would you miss your sparkling stuff?
Good evening, fellow motorsport out here. Brief tech video tonight. Something development in the radio category. Some washer bottle technology, and then we'll close on a sad note, a discontinued topic. But on to the good stuff first. Here's tonight's script. 8 of 80 to 9 of 87, FJ60 LG-KA, bracket radio number 1, bracket radio number 2, 86211-90A00, 86212-90A00. Also, quantity times 4 of a screw, 93319-15008. The brackets secure the screws secure the brackets to the radio, excuse me. And, well, that's tonight's script. So without further ado, reproduction, radio bracket number 1 and number 2 live once again. So, I've faithfully had them reproduced in kind. You'll notice that I took a die punch and I labeled left and right, if you could see the lighting there, R and L. Curiously, it's if you're facing the radio, I think, and as opposed to being behind it. Goes against Toyota's left and right philosophy, but anywho, we'll mount them up to one of our shop radios. Shop radio is not for sale, by the way. So we got some snappy new keychains to talk about, but without further ado, let's hook up 86211 and 86212 radio bracket number 1 and number 2. Now I get to be put on the spot. Got my vessel, made in Japan. My Makita, made in Japan. It's called a pencil impact, by the way. It's a great tool to have for body work. So can we see this here? Make sure I'm in the view of the camera so nobody forget what I'm doing. I'm focused on the work. So you'll notice the 2 orientation tabs here. I didn't skimp on those. Those go in that groove and in that groove. And that keeps the bracket from shifting, even though there's 2 screws in it. General over-engineering and Toyota overkill, as you might know. So, and my R is upside down. I can think of a name to call myself right now, but I won't do it. Politically incorrect. But let's secure this bracket. The brackets are made out of just, you know, laser cut sheet metal. But they sure turn out nice as the originals. I'm going to start these by hand. And for video rendering's sake, I'm going to zap them with my pencil impact. But I do not recommend using any impact tools on a radio ever. But I guess I'm special. So, on to the second one, the left. Same thing. Detents or grooves. Whoever likes tonight's musical choice, like Johnny Cash, was kind of appropriate since we're working with a radio. I grew up on Johnny Cash. Never saw him play live, but, you know, the night he died, I was seeing Dandy Warhol's play at Washington, D.C. at the 930 Club. And so he said, Johnny Cash has left the building. And on the way home, we found out he had croaked. So, too bad. By the way, these are the screws, the 9331915 008s. They're a SEM screw with a wide flange washer, and they're a Phillips head, a P2 JIS. So, without further ado, there's our brackets. Right would be the passenger side. Left would be the driver's side. And they mount to the onboard brackets. I don't have a 60 as I've mentioned, but I've seen enough pictures, and the person I worked with on these brackets showed me enough, and I've been studying FJ60 Chase's thread on he makes some reproduction 3D printed radio brackets. So that's what we got. Radio brackets. They were kind of in the planning stage with the radio faceplate. So I was going to make a master kit with the faceplate and the radio brackets, but I figured with all the variations of parts availability and people having certain parts and not having certain parts, it makes sense just to offer them a la carte. So the 2 brackets and the 4 screws will be offered a la carte, and the radio faceplate will be offered a la carte. That way it kind of meets the needs. You can pick and choose what you want. You know, kind of like when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's. If you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's. Not saying I do. Once a month. But yeah, radio brackets for mounting the FJ60 radio. I happen to have audio guides from my dealership days from T10, and I've got quite a range of part numbers of radios that'll fit these brackets and work in the FJ60. This happens to be 86211-90A00. It's not the 90A00 or the 90A00 or the 52221. So I forget what this comes out of. That's a truck number. It comes out of some sort of pickup truck, probably an old Hilux. But this is a direct bolt into an FJ60. It's an AM/FM, and this sucker works too. It's got LEDs in it and everything. So, but it's my little shop workhorse. So, you know, gotta keep it special. My special little guy. So we'll prop him up on the Milwaukee and see what happens. There we go. We got a nice view. And I got tonight's beverage is peach Red Bull. So I put it with some peaches. And of course, the oil filter tumbler by @PennyAlex. Thank you, Alex. Alex has a new tumbler coming out, and it's going to be better than this one. And I donated the oil filter housing for it, so it should be something pretty sparky, man. It's pretty cool. It's something different. Okay, so here's my bags of brackets. This is just one sampling of bags, left and right separated. My first run, I ordered 100 sets. I have no idea what the demand's going to be. This is kind of one of these Ghost Rider projects. Either it's going to be good or I'm going to be stuck with them for the rest of my life. But I think with all the demand I've seen for the radio faceplates and the radios and everyone going back to OEM factory audio over the years, recently especially, the whole let's keep it original and period correct, which I subscribe to willfully and admittedly, these brackets should be a noteworthy, needable thing. So, and they're going to be within reach, not SOR, which Ben from Project One Way calls beat out of reach. It's going to be within reach. So look forward to these, and you'll get 4 screws with it. So 2 brackets, and then the 4 screws. Simply put. So we got that going on, and then I have ample NOS gold zinc screws, and these are genuine Toyota screws. They're not from Taiwan or China. I've got, a bag of, 500 or 1,000 from back in the day. So these are just typical radio mounting screws. They were common size, spec, and part number for most Toyotas back in the 80s and 70s. So it's like a bag of gold nuggets. Parker Schnabel. My buddy would be proud. So Matt has his gold zinc. Parker Schnabel has his gold nuggets. So if you want a Karma keychain, PM me. No problem. So, okay. The sad note. How do I start a sad note? Well, I gotta finish the Red Bull, Heath Red Bull first. Yeah, I got bad news last Friday. They bring forefront and center. Part number 86211-90A00 the fuel door lock for the FJ60 and 62, they share the same fuel door lock, manual lock, was discontinued Friday, ripped from the price tape. And I'm pretty angry about that because I'm just getting into making whole lock sets, and I had a plan to bang some out and have them pre-made on the shelf instead of clients and fellow members having to wait for them as I make them. And this, I'll be livid. I'm pissed off at Toyota about this. I am really, really angry that they discontinued this part. So I hunted around and I got one that was still on the, I probably got the last one in the United States. I checked Japan and globally and they're all out. I checked all the sources that everyone talks about, you know, all the gray market parts houses in the Middle East and Japan, gone. I found a locksmith shop in the Midwest, like Wisconsin, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, they had 5. They also have another 6 coming, so I'll have 11. But these are factory Toyota, as you can see from the keys. They're factory Toyota Reebox locks, so I'll have 11 of these locks. That means I can make 11 full lock sets. I have only less than 10 serviceable cores. Fuel door locks don't have a good long life expectancy because they're kind of out in the elements, you know? And they get gas on them and that trashes them. And, you know, people break into them and vandals and stuff. But this is called a square door fuel lock. I'll open this one up. The hell. Many years ago in the 70s and in the 80s and into the 90s, Toyotas had a square door, like the gasket. See how it's square? Actually, it was on a 45, so it was diamond shaped, but it was square. And in this little hockey stick foot was the common application. Sometimes the key was different, but the housing and the foot and the gasket were all the same. Well, they phased it out and changed of, you know, some Toyotas don't have fuel door locks. My 05 Super Hilux does not. My wife's 02 Pre-Runner does not. My 03 Tundra, however, does. So, but yeah, Toyota, I don't understand why they discontinued this. There just must have not been the demand. These are new locks. These are not like new old stock locks from the 70s and 80s, and I'll tell you why. These are modern Toyota keys. This is the latest key design from Toyota. Now, I'm not just talking about the style of the head, as you're all familiar to. I'm talking about the nickel plate. This is a solid nickel key. This is not chrome-plated brass. And this Toyota logo on the key, blackhead key, is the modern one that's used on the productions. These are made by the Tokarika company in Japan. Who knows where they're made now, but yeah, it's a real shame they discontinued it. It's just another dagger in the back. And as far as I'm concerned, Toyota's spitting on our faces in the Land Cruiser community by discontinuing this fuel door lock. They discontinued the passenger side front door for the 60 and the 62 about 2 years ago. Well, you could use the driver's side. You just have to take the paddle off the back, or the arm, or the paw, the long arm on the driver's side door, and you swap them, but the lock cylinder is the same. They're interchangeable. And not a big secret, but now you know. But this is not, there is not an aftermarket solution for this that I know of, and I hunted already for hours, and I found some stuff in Taiwan, but they're not in production, and they want you to order 3,000. I don't have 3,000 lock dollars plus whatever they charge for setup. That's just pretty insane. It would get into like 10 grand, but I'm hoping. I contacted the premier lock and key supplier, locksmith supplier in the United States where I have my account, and I talked to him about ordering them, and I pledged I would, you know, I would drop a couple grand on a stock order of locks, you know, as much as I could afford, you know, maybe 2 or 3 grand or 4 grand on these fuel door locks, a lifetime supply purchase, but I can't do anything more than that, you know. That even might be a kind of a number that's not even reachable. It might be half of that or something. But yeah, I'm PO'd, man. Toyota didn't need to have to do this, because this lock is used on every 60, every 62, 61 series as well that has a fuel door lock. It's also used on Toyota pickups, Corollas, Hiluxes. Same part number, same lock. So I don't know what they're thinking, but these are modernly produced. I would bet this code on here, see this, there's a code on here, it says J71. That's similar to a carburetor code. But this one means it was produced, this number 1 means 2021. I know that much. I don't know what the J and the 7 mean, but the 1 means 2021. So these were produced this year. I guess this is it. This is the end of the run, because the locksmith shop I bought them off said they just got them in, and they were like a deal at a closeout. So I think Toyota had been planning to discontinue the fuel door lock for a while now, and it just was a matter of time. You know, I'm 47 years old, and I remember being 16, and Land Cruiser parts are plentiful, and I'm seeing them being killed off now in ever greater numbers. It's almost like the extinction of a species of animals because of pollution or something like that. And it's sad. It really is. But hoard parts if you can. Something like this, I'm not going to get rid of them all. I'm definitely going to hang on to a few, because I'm going to get a 60 sooner or later. I won't get a 62 because of parts of limitations, you know, because they only made a 3FE for 2 production years technically, and you can't get certain parts, but definitely a 60 is in my future. I watched Ben from Project Wrong Way, and I'm following his 60 and helping him out with that, and a big shout out to him too. He's a great guy, and he's doing something very special for the Land Cruiser community by, you know, showing people how to do things, and I see a bigger picture in what he's doing. You know, he's doing something for the greater good of the Land Cruiser community by giving people instructions on how to install and modify and retrofit and kind of get by with what you can. He uses hand tools, not power tools, if you ever noticed that. There's no impact guns or pencil, Makita $300 pencil impacts, but he uses a hand screwdriver. And a big shout out to him for doing that, so thanks, Ben. But yeah, the lock topic is sad, so sorry to end on a sad note on a tech thread and dwell on the locks when the radio brackets are a celebration. But again, I want to thank the members of the 60 series community for their support and their inspiration, because without you guys, these brackets would never have happened. So thank you guys. And thank you, Hemi Alex, for making a great tumbler.
Looking for Siegfried and Leroy?
Have a good night, folks.